It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
Hello, this is Bryan with the Black College Sports Network, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Edward Waters head coach Greg Ruffin after a big win, a homecoming win, first win of the season for the Tigers in the inaugural A&E Football Classic. Coach, congratulations on the win. How are we feeling this morning? Or afternoon, I guess.
Hey, well, Bryan, I'm feeling a whole lot better than I was last week after giving one away. I thought the kids competed hard, so it's always good to get up on Sunday and you got a W on that side, you know.
I hear you. Let's before we get into that great atmosphere and the great game, I just want to talk or hear your thoughts a little bit on the challenges of what you guys came out of, 4 games in a row on the road, and what the preparation was like heading into Saturday's game, and maybe a little bit about what you learned about your team, maybe what the guys learned about themselves through that experience.
Well, of course, moving out of NAIA and moving up a division, we had a stretch last year where we had 4 games on the road and we went 3-1. So, but each year it presents different challenges, new football team, different faces, and we have some guys that went through that stretch last year, and of course, just in the sheer complexity of just trying to rebuild the program, there are a lot of guys that didn't go through that stretch with us last year. And then, of course, facing tougher competition, week in and week out. You look at the Shaws and the Morehouses. I mean, this thing has been kind of weird. We don't get to practice against the Morehouse, for the Morehouse game. We get evacuated because of Hurricane Dorian. And then we play a game really on a day and a half's notice, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We snap the ball over the kicker's head. He tries to kick it out of the back of the end zone, come off the side of his foot. They fall on it for a touchdown. But we played a great game, really. Had our issues, against Morehouse. I mean, that's a game. It was a winnable game. It was a game we could have won. And then, then we go up to Lane and to play Lane and to play Shaw in back-to-back weeks. And I'll tell you what, man, it was hot as all get out those 2 weeks in a row. And I thought we withered getting off the bus. You know what I mean? We just did not play very well in those 2 football games because we were hot. We were hot in the warm-ups. And I told the coaches, I said, man, this is going to be an obstacle for us because, we practice at night. So, So, that was something that I got to look at, but, with having these afternoon classes and these adjunct professors, that requires kids to be in classes now at 4 and 5 o'clock when, back when you and I were going to school, the teachers were there all day. It wasn't such thing as an adjunct. They had offices on campuses and everybody was there. It was like a village. Nowadays, it's getting to that. I know coaches. It's some HBCUs that go in the morning. My cousin practices at 5 o'clock in the morning over at Miles.
Right. I heard that.
And I know Buddy Q. I remember about 5 or 6 years ago we were talking. And he was like, Coach, I go at night. I go from like 8 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night. He said, I know when they get out of practice, I know they're going to sleep. He said, they got all day to study, handle their business, study hard. That's the way I'm having to handle it because of the adjunct situation. So, it's one of those things where it's not allowing us to prepare for the heat. You see what I'm saying?
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. So we had those 2 weeks, and I mean, like I said, we were just hot. We were very lethargic, and we didn't play well. We didn't play well at all. I mean, I think, Shaw's got a good ball club. I thought they should have beat Bowie State. They came down to the wire with them. So it's been kind of tricky, and we're trying to navigate these things. But by the same token, this is my second year here of a total rebuild, and so we had some success last year, and we've just been a little bit off. We're close here, close there, and yesterday was just a culmination of us. Look, the ball bounced our way yesterday because some of the things that happened to Allen yesterday, those are the things that have been happening to us, in the previous 3 or 4 weeks. So, even when last week we go down to Central State, we got 418 yards of offense, hold them to 205 yards. We lose 28-21, but we give up a kickoff return for a touchdown and a pick six. So you take those two plays away, and we get out of that thing alive, And so, We got a good young ball club, but Edward Waters just can't have a hand in beating Edward Waters. And I think in 3 of those losses, the Southern game, it was what it was, you know what I mean? But sure, but in those other losses, I know we had a hand in beating ourselves, and I just think if we can continue to reduce the mistakes and win the turnover battle, and just be solid at quarterback, and be able to manage the game and take what they give us. We're big up front. We got some skilled guys that can play. My freshman tailback, he rushed for 183 yards last week and 2 touchdowns against Central State, and then he came back this week and he had 12 carries for 117 yards with a touchdown receiving and a touchdown rushing. So, I mean, the parts are in place. We just, but we're young. We're looking at it. We're freshman and sophomore dominated football team. So, it's been good. And I guess as I answer your question, the biggest thing is just trying to get them to understand that being young won't be our excuse. We got to grow up now. I mean, right. We can't negotiate the schedule that we have. It is what it is. And we got to take it, run with it, and we got to bow up,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is interesting, and this is the second year I've had the pleasure of working with Josh Jackson and calling games, the home games at least, and with him, and it is interesting the amount. It catches me every now and then the number of times we mention a freshman and a sophomore, whether it be both sides of the ball, and so obviously the growth is there, and I'll be looking forward to those days ahead, and when we'll be talking about guys who are in their junior and senior year, and what that'll look like. So a lot of growth and a lot of young guys. And let me talk about you mentioned the quarterback situation, your quarterbacks, and they are young. You went into this game with Braden Minor, who started the game after 2 consecutive weeks of really being the only or primary signal caller, or taking all of the pass attempts in the last 2 weeks. This week he started, and then you went to Rashard Branch, and Branch had a good game. I thought he had a very good game. But what went into the change for you in the course of this game, going from Minor to Branch? And I believe Branch started the season against Morehouse, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
He did. And here's the deal. We started out the season, we just, with the complexity of our offense, we were missing things. We weren't reading things right at the quarterback position. And so, that brought about the change. Sean Francis started against Lane. So him and Branch kind of played the first 2 or 3 football games, and Minor's first game started was against Shaw, where he threw for 190 yards, 1 touchdown, no turnovers. But just, but he came back the next week against Central State and threw 4 interceptions. So it's kind of musical chairs there. We hadn't been able to solidify some things because they're young. Like Minor's a freshman, Branch is a sophomore, Rashard's a sophomore. And then last year, most of the year, the guy that started at quarterback last year, Derek Jones, who made all conference, he's not even eligible this year. So the guy that started here last year is just practicing. Right. He's having the red shirt this year, which is going to make for interesting competition as we go into next year, especially if he can do some things to shore up himself from an academic perspective. He's a heck of a football player, but right now, by him not being eligible, he's surrendering that position to these other guys, and they're getting that game experience. So what went on with the Minor thing is we came out and that first couple of drives, he just wasn't reading some things right, man. We wanted him to be able to come over the sidelines and be able to see some things. And, it's one of those things where you put Branch in and he kind of took it, ran with it, because, Branch is one of those guys, he's going to be a good one. But it seems like he plays better coming off the bench because he's had a chance to see some things. You know what I mean? Right. So we came off the bench yesterday, and the rest was history. And he'll be the first to tell you he missed about 3 or 4 touchdowns yesterday. But all in all, he played a solid football game. He drove the ball downfield when he needed to. He ran the ball when he needed to. And we were satisfied with the play that we got out of it.
I'm curious, what kind of challenges does just dealing with the maturation of your quarterbacks? When you're having to go through, the changes where 1 week a young man looks great or good, and then the next week he sort of has a real bad day and he's just not reading it. And maybe and what kind of, from a practice level or just even from the film study and preparation during the week, what kind of challenges does that make for you and your coaching staff when you're dealing with just that kind of development?
I think the biggest thing is, you're trying to hammer home some level of a consistency that we need to have. It's not so much as the ability, as you saw yesterday. It's the ability to be consistent. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they gotta be able to think better on the run, and that's just something that comes with reps. And as you like you say, what is a drill? A drill always is something is what a kid's mistakes are. So the kid's not good at something, it becomes a drill on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday. So we can try to get him mentally prepared to be able to think more on the run. So I mean, because sometimes, let me give you a prime example. Like last week in Central State, it was a lot of times we had a beat on the perimeter, and we read it, and we got the numbers. We pull the ball and we spit it out on the perimeter, and the quarterback tells you, "Well, coach, why didn't you throw the ball on the perimeter?" He says, "Well, coach, we got 6 yards. We got 6 yards the last play." That's not the read.
Right.
The read is if you got 3 over 2, pull the ball and spit it because we got the numbers on the edge. And that's these young guys today, they want to play and coach a little bit sometimes, but he said, "Well, we got 6 yards on the last play." Well, what makes you think we're gonna get 6 yards? And I'm like, man, and so now you know what you're dealing with. So,
yeah.
And you just gotta break them out of those bad habits. And just, let me coach and you play, and you gotta stay within the confines and the complexity of the system.
Right. Trust the system. Trust the process, as they like to say.
Exactly. No doubt.
So your running back, you mentioned him, Deshaun Hugie, another 100-yard plus day. He carried the ball 12 times, and obviously some of the moves I did on the broadcast, I thought he put some guys might have had some ice on ankles and knees after because he put some moves on people. But it was the running. He didn't have as many carries as the previous week when he had 25 the previous week, and it was a little smaller workload. Was that by design or just a product of the game flow and just the way the game was going?
It was game flow because with the read system, it was sometimes the quarterback should have gave him the ball and he spit it, and then sometimes when they gave it to him, they shouldn't have gave it to him. But one thing about him, he had that huge 60-yard run,
Yes.
and I mean that was a heck of a run, and I mean.
That was a top-notch run. That might have been one of the runs of the year, by the way, I've got to say.
Yeah, he came out the pile and dunked that thing outside. But, at the end of the game, that last touchdown we got, same kind of run by Spencer Carter. So it's just showing we got some kids that can play, and we got some depth. And for a program to be this young, we got some players.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thrilled at the prospects, but the thing that I search for the most, you'll always hear me say that, is how consistent are we? How consistent are we? Can we do the same thing next week? Or the one week we look like, the Elwater Tigers, and next week we look like the Kroger's Rams or the Police Athletic League. You know what I mean? We got to make sure that we're being Elwaters every time we play.
Well said. The first half, an amazing first half. EWC puts up 28 points, the most points of the season in the first half, and it was capped off by, I thought, an interesting. If I'm mistaken here, I want to say the touchdown that Matthew Wilkerson scored from Rashard Branch. I think that was on 4th down, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
So what went into that decision, and then talk a little bit about Mr. Wilkerson, because he is a big target. And he has a nice pair of hands, and I mean, he is only a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right. You see, the thing with him, he's an older guy. He's a transfer. So Matthew is he's about 20. He's 26 years old. So he's a grown man. He's a grown man out there.
Okay, that explains so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. He signed with NC State when he came out of high school as a receiver, and he's a brother of Muhammad Wilkerson. I know you that plays.
Yes.
Played for the Jets with Green Bay last year. You know, at one time was a highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL. So he's got good. You know, he comes from good stock, and you know one thing about him, you know, we playing both ways, but you know, he's a tight end. I mean, he's like, Coach, I'm a DN. Man, look at it, you're gonna make money playing tight end. You're 6'7", you're 270 pounds, you can run, and I mean, you know. Even when he caught that ball, Branch threw a heck of a pass to him, and nobody could catch the ball. He went up and caught that ball and just, you know, went on in the end zone, and the kid bounces off of him. He did that same thing against Lane. He caught one about his shoelaces and stiff arm the safety and went on in the end zone. So kind of what happened on that play when we went for the field goal, I looked and I said, man, this is almost about 52, 53-yard field goal. So that's why I called a timeout right as he was kicking it. And thank God I did, because the ball fell about 5-6 yards short.
Right,
you know, and then I said, no, let's just dial something up, go to the end zone, put the big guy in the inside, and send him up the pipe and see what we can get out of it. And I mean, it was a touchdown. So
great call, great timeout. First off, because we saw that, and I saw when he kicked it, and I was like, oh, hey, great timeout by Coach Ruffin there, because it did come up a bit short, and then you send him back out there. And worst case scenario, if you don't get it, you're still have them backed up inside something like the 30 or at least in 30, 35-yard line, and so it's not like big difference versus possibly getting the ball at the 42 or the 40 or 39-yard line or something like that. Right. Flipping over to the other side of the ball, the defense, and you know the defense held it. You know, mentioned last week they held an opponent, Central State, to less than 300 yards, and they do it again, holding Allen to 269 yards. And one of the questions that I was curious about during the broadcast is you stuck to more of a 3-man rush. And I don't know if you were in a nickel or a dime package with your secondary. It just seemed like they had a lot of time to find guys. Of course, they didn't have too much success over the top, but I was curious about the strategy of only rushing 3 in the course of that game.
Well, that was kind of out of necessity because of some injuries, you know.
Okay.
So we do, as you can see, that last couple of drives, we got back in an even front, and we started pushing that pocket, and that quarterback, he was having to run out of there, because we got 350-pound nose guards, and we got some guys on the edge that can get it. You know, we haven't been able to get those sacks that I would like, because we keep, you see when they put that second quarterback in there in the fourth quarter, we were losing contain and stuff, you know what I'm saying, and giving up the edge. So that was the thing, we got to work on. But, it was kind of like, let's be in, don't break, keep everything in front of us, break on the ball. You see some corners coming up yesterday, making some big hits on third down. Darren Hall did a heck of a job yesterday on 2 or 3 of those passes coming up. Just not, kid catches the out route, and he comes up and blasts it, and he drops the ball for an incomplete pass. So that was kind of more so. And then, a couple of things that we give up is because the safety didn't get over on the hash like they were supposed to. But all in all, we were able to push it from the middle with that nose guard and kind of get them off their first read. It was more so the pressure than it was the sacks, because when that center is getting pushed back in the quarterback's face, he's got to move a little bit. Whether we get the sack or not, he's got to come off, because he sees that, and then he comes off his first read, and then now when he goes back, now he's searching for something, and it may put him in a position where he has to force the football.
Yeah, no, good point. You mentioned, and I had to give some credit to, not only you, but your defensive backs coach, the separation, the hits your DBs were making. I mean, doing a great job of textbook separating receiver from the ball. There was at least about 2 or 3 good hits that might have turned into first downs for Allen that your DBs basically broke up. And, I mean, outstanding hits. So, great moment, a great teaching moment, it was definitely on display right there. Just if you would kind of, as you look on at that game and you had a great crowd for homecoming, what are just your general thoughts from I don't know how much time you had a chance to just stop and kind of look around, but it was a great crowd on both sides yesterday for that game. Just what are your thoughts on what you saw?
Well, I kind of enjoyed it because I think, in the spirit of both of us being, affiliated with the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and, having both bishops there and all the pageantry that went along with it, and then they brought a heck of a crowd. Alan did a great job.
Yes, they did.
Of really, 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 making this, a phenomenal day for both schools. We really appreciate them, and in the spirit of good sportsmanship, it was just good to be able to play, our sister school, and it was just everything about it was good, and I really, really, really enjoyed it yesterday. And Coach Keaton, he's doing a good job over there. He has a young ball club, in his second year over there as well. Of course, I'm coming up. I'm in a rebuild, and he's in a restart. So it's kind of
right.
We got some similarities. He and I were talking this morning on the phone, and just bouncing. We've been knowing each other for years, so we just bouncing some stuff off each other, and he was very complimentary of what he saw, and we're talking about what you think our weaknesses are and our strengths, and vice versa, and it's good to be able to have a colleague that you can just be able to talk things out, and that's what that was, this is a friendly rivalry, you know what I'm saying, a sister rivalry, in terms of the nature of who we are, in terms of the affiliation with the AME Church, and it was a great day for football. The weather was great, everything was great all went around.
It was a great atmosphere and great homecoming. And the second one I've had a chance to I haven't even been able to make it to my own alma mater's homecoming. I've been to the two Edward Waters homecoming. So I may have to start a tradition and keep this thing going. And, of course, my people in Tallahassee keep getting upset with me, but it's all good, So, now we come off of a win, and it's the first taste of success in this season. And now we get a turn to on the miles, as they like to say, and what we have dubbed as Ruffin Bowl 1. You going up against your first cousin, Coach Reginald Ruffin, and Miles, who came off a win against Benedict. What are your just initial thoughts about what you and the coaching staff have to do to get your team ready for Miles coming to Jacksonville this upcoming weekend?
Well, the one thing we have to do is we got to win the turnover battle. He's done a great job over there over the last 9 years. I mean, he's won 3 out of the last 7. Prior to his arrival there, they had never won it. He's done a phenomenal job there, and it's one of those situations. You say, if you had a program that you want to emulate, who would you want to emulate? I mean, I could tell you, we want to emulate Miles. I mean, the success he's had and the way he turned that program into a powerhouse in terms of the type of kids he's getting, the consistencies he's had. Every year he's in it to the end. That's what we want to be going forward. Is people talk about Edward Waters college football, and I think that it's a good model. He gets out there on defense and now he has an offense that he can really put up some points, but he's always been, a great defensive teacher. As won 5 championships as DC over at Tuskegee, probably getting the job at Miles and then winning it his first year at Miles. So, I mean, my heart is off to Miles, and one thing that we got to do is, we can't flinch when they come in here.
Sure,
right. Their last 2 ball games. With them playing Clark, Clark had a chance to win at the end. They just underthrew the football. Guys wide open in the end zone, and it was underthrown on Miles' homecoming. Then I see they played a tough, close football game with Benedict yesterday. Now, I mean, we got to hold on. We got to, because we know it's the pendulum swings and momentum goes wherever the pendulum goes. But we got to make sure when it swings our way, that we get enough momentum that's going to be able to drive us to be able to stay competitive and be in a position to win the game in the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And so you go into this is an important stretch where obviously there are some, from just a fan perspective, and there's some exciting games upcoming outside of Miles. And I know, you don't want your players looking ahead, but what does this second half of the season or, getting this win, how does this set you up for the second half of the season, and what maybe as you're thinking about a theme or a message, if you do anything like that, what's the message for the second half of this season for your team?
Well, we just have to finish. We got to finish, and we got to fight. We got to fight to the finish. All right, that's the biggest thing. My biggest thing is where if I got a grade, is what was our effort level at? Was it at 100%? Because like I said, we had a couple of games where we kind of faltered. You kind of withered in that sun, and I can tell you our effort was where it needed to be. As we try to define what Edward Waters College football is. I didn't see it. And we pride ourselves being a tough physical football team. Now, you saw it yesterday. Now, the biggest thing in response to your question, that's probably not a question I can answer to next week because we're coming off a win, but I can't tell you how we're going to play off that win until I see us get a game off the win. And that'll tell you, give me a true indication of where we are. Do we take the layups? I hope not. That's not our plan. Our plan is to try to get better week in and week out. And we're playing some junior and senior latent teams, down the stretch. And like I said, I got babies out there, but that ain't gonna be our rallying cry. How we're young, that young has no different. It has no nothing to do with the effort that we put out.
Right.
The toughness that we display and the physicality that we want to put on display. So that has nothing to do with age, ain't nothing but a number in that regard. Now, in terms of making some plays, being experienced and things like that, sometimes that can happen. And it's kind of like, when you're a kid, my dog's faster than your dog. I could take that, but I can't take my dog not putting no effort, out there on that racetrack. That's where we got to be at. We just got to continue to coach technique, fundamentals, and try to get better week by week.
Well said, Coach. Well said. So, again, congratulations on the win. First win of the season for the Tigers. Upcoming this Saturday at home against Miles College, the defending SIAC champions. And, Coach, I'll give you the last word. Anything that you would like to say to Tiger Nation as you guys get ready for that big contest?
Well, the biggest thing is, we were very, very, very encouraged by the support, through the people showing up for the ball game yesterday, the continued support we get from our fan base and the various social media platforms. And we just want everybody to know that we want their continued support. Come on out to the football games, 6 o'clock p.m. this coming Saturday at First Coast High School. And, it's unofficially, as me and my cousin, it's Ruffin Bowl 1. The best man wins. So, we're going to get out to each other.
All right. Well, it's a family affair coming up this upcoming Saturday, as we've dubbed it Ruffin Bowl 1, Edward Waters versus Miles College. Coach, I appreciate your time. We appreciate it. And best of luck to you, the coaching staff, and the players this upcoming week in your preparation.
Thanks, Bryan. Thanks for all the work you guys do on the Black College Sports Network.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Take care. Have a great week.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, trying to